Hey guys, and welcome to today's Fab in 5. So today I'm going to be giving you my top 5 concealers. These are my most used, most loved, like holy grails of concealers that I own and that I love and that I definitely recommend. So if you're interested in finding out which ones I personally recommend and why, then keep on watching. So the first concealer I'm going to recommend is my only concealer that I specifically use for blemishes, and that is the NARS Soft Matte Concealer. I will always have this on hand. It is extremely pigmented, extremely creamy, so it's not going to dry out the blemish, especially if it's like a raised or open or cracked blemish. It's definitely the best I've ever used for those, as it really smooths over the area and makes it look a lot less noticeable, not only in color but in texture as well. It lasts the longest on my blemishes. It really stays put all day long, and I definitely recommend even if you don't have blemishes, if you have scarring, like acne scarring, age spots, dark spots, hyperpigmentation, any type of spots or marks or blemishes you want to cover up, then the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer is the way to go. Now, the rest are liquid concealers. We have the OG Tarte Shape Tape. This is and probably will always be one of my absolute favorites. It is one of the most full coverage concealers. It has a matte finish without looking super dry or cakey or crusty. It has a beautiful smoothing effect to the skin, the under eye area, and like this cheek area. For me, that is my most textured area. It really brightens and covers, conceals, and smooths out the area, and it is probably my longest wearing concealer I own. It is not going anywhere, and you don't need a lot. A little goes a long way in terms of coverage. Another one that I really love is the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. This one I would say is pretty darn close to the Tarte Shape Tape in terms of coverage. It is extremely full coverage, and it also is like a little bit less matte. I find this one is one I go for, you know, if I'm feeling a little dehydrated or dry. It's really, really nice on the skin and smooth, and it doesn't emphasize any lines or texture or dryness. It really helps kind of smooth that all out. One of the smoothest concealers I own as well. I'd honestly say it's maybe even a little bit smoother than the Tarte Shape Tape, mainly because it's not quite as matte. So if you don't like as matte of a concealer, then I would go with the Too Faced Born This Way. It also maybe isn't quite as long wearing as the Tarte. So I feel like if I'm going for all day wear, I can use both. But if I need like fudge proof makeup, I go for the Tarte. If I want like the most flawless skin of my life, Too Faced Born This Way. The next one is the Pat McGrath Sublime Fetish Concealer. This one, honestly, definitely worth the hype. It is, again, full coverage, creamy, extremely smoothing to the skin, brightening, and conceals everything you want. And what I love about all three that I just mentioned is, as much as they are so full coverage, you can also use a tiny bit of them and still get a very natural effect. It doesn't have to be caked on crazy full coverage. You can use just a small amount and get maybe a more natural effect. They're very versatile formulas as well. And the last one is a much more affordable option, and honestly one of my favorite concealers I've ever used, and that's the e.l.f. Camo Concealer, but the hydrating one. I like the original Camo. It is very, very matte, even more matte than the Tarte Shape Tape. So if you're like, I want matte, then I would go with the original. But to me, it just has such a quick drying time. You don't have a whole lot of playing time. Like, you have to blend it in right away. And then also I find it can look a little cakey and dry on my skin. So I prefer the hydrating one. It is not quite as full coverage, but very buildable, a little more natural on the skin. It's probably the most natural of the liquid ones I've mentioned. So if you're looking for maybe more medium to full coverage, not quite that intense full coverage, I'd recommend the e.l.f. Hydrating. And it's honestly one that I can go in with and never worry it's gonna get cakey, never worry it's gonna, look makeup-y or heavy. It's very beautiful and smooth and still covers everything really nicely. So love that as well. And those are my top 5 concealers. As I said, my most used, my most loved, and the ones that I recommend, as I think you guys would love them just as much as I do. I truly, truly love them. A lot of those are OG faves already of many, but they just can't be beat yet. They can't be beat. If you're interested in more of these best of type videos, then go ahead and give me a thumbs up down below. So let me know if you guys want more of those. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.